Oh hey guys, Simon here. We're playing Minecraft, and we are working on the desert rose. But today we're gonna do something a little bit different because we are okay. What we're doing today is looking at colored glass, and because glass is not renewable, I don't really want to do this in survival because I don't want to waste my glass. So I'm gonna do this in creative mode. I'm gonna recreate my world. Obviously, the stuff inside Alpha would be different because that's from a long time ago. The world generation doesn't create that world anymore. So we're gonna go to creative mode, large biomes. That's the seed and all that. Alright, done. Create new world. Hopefully, we can find our way back towards the mesa. It doesn't really matter if it's not the exact same place. I just want it to be in a mesa biome so that we can get the colors, because the color of the clay is important. So we're looking at color today, and to be perfectly honest, like color is not my strongest, you know, in terms of all these things that an architect has to do, color is not my strongest. But I can do it. I can deal with it. So which way are we going? Hold on, let me just F3 south. All right, north is that way. So we just kind of fly this way for a little bit. We should get to the mesa eventually if we can recognize. Shout out if you can recognize any of this stuff. Not yet though, probably not yet. So we're gonna look at colored glass, and we're gonna do this here because, I don't want to waste the sand that I have. I know that I have a massive desert, and I can just kind of make more sand, but I don't really want to waste it. So what can we do and what can we not do? We can't use blues because we don't have lapis. I can go mining for lapis, but that would take me a long time, so I don't want to use blue anyway, and it's not renewable. I'm still not too happy about the fact that blue is not renewable, but so we're not using lapis. So we got reds and greens and yellows. I've got a lot of red. Green is pretty easy. Green is just cactus, right? Red is the red rose, or what's it called now? It's the poppy. So red and yellow is pretty easy. I mean, the red and green is pretty easy. Yellow, slightly more difficult. I might have to kind of churn through a lot of bone meal to get enough yellow flowers. Probably get other flowers too, but I'm thinking we'll focus on red and green because that's what I've got the most of. Even though I say that, I probably don't have enough red even for the amount of glass that I'm gonna use. So, but that's my problem. I'll deal with that. I'm sure I can figure that out somehow. So mostly red and green, and if we can find the mesa, then that'd be good. Just keep flying until we get somewhere, I guess. North. What else do we have to consider? I mean, I guess, like the desert rose, it's a massive glass sculptural tower thing in the desert, and I haven't really talked about. Well, this is not mesa. This is maybe the mesa's this way. I haven't seen a mountain savanna before, ever. This is the first time I've ever seen this. Maybe it's the... I think it's gonna be this way, but I don't actually know. How far out are we? Oh, that's interesting. This is negative 800 something on the x-axis. Maybe that's why. Alright, anyway. So what was I saying? Yeah, so the effect of this thing, I mean, it's supposed to be like a good-looking sculptural centerpiece. It's kind of like a... it's kind of like a waste of materials because it doesn't actually serve any functions. And... in terms of like curvy... Oh, here it is, here's the mesa. So in terms of like curvy shapes and stuff like that, I don't know how much you guys know about real-life architects, but there's a guy called Frank Gehry, and then there's a woman called Zaha Hadid, and these two are probably the most famous for curvy buildings and whatnot. And in actual fact, I don't actually agree with... Oh, here we are. We actually found it. This is the exact place where we are building the desert rose in the other map. So here we are. So we found it. So I don't really agree with their architecture, to be perfectly honest, because it's like they do curvy buildings in real life, like kind of blobs and weird shapes. I don't. I can understand. I don't know. Maybe I don't understand why. Like I feel like it's very difficult for like they're difficult shapes for people to relate to. Or maybe they aren't. Maybe it's just me. I don't know. I don't entirely agree with it because I feel like they're kind of making complicated shapes for no good reason. Although having said that, I mean the desert rose is like a complicated shape for no good reason, right? So maybe I'm just being hypocritical maybe. So anyway, I mean the argument is that you are creating amazing shapes. You're creating something that people have never seen before. Like you're creating something wondrous. You're creating something that defies experience, and you're creating something new. And in a way, you kind of you kind of presenting people with new possibilities. That's I mean if you kind of say it like that, then it's kind of there's something positive about that. There's something liberating about doing something that's never been done before, and seeing something that's kind of completely new and different. But then, so I guess what we want to do is to capture that positive aspect of these kind of weird shapes, is to kind of create something that you look at it and it inspires you. I guess my personal my personal philosophy and my personal value system would value inspiration. It's if people look at something and they are motivated to do better, or they're motivated to aim higher. You know what I mean? Because I want things to improve. I mean, it's not a personal thing for you. I'm not kind of putting the responsibility on you. I'm just saying in general, I would prefer for things to get better and better over time. So, I guess inspiration is something that I value, and I guess this is kind of what we're aiming for. Let me just go grab the colors that we can actually make. And I guess the clear glass goes here as well. And then pink and lime and yellow and orange. Black. Let's just not do the grey so much. Let's put the orange there. So I guess those are the only colors that we can use. Oh, white. There's white stained glass. Maybe I'll just drop the greys and go with the light colors. We want this to be colorful. We want this to be like kind of nice, nice to look at. Now let's keep the clear glass. So I don't really know where I'm going with this. What was I saying? Like I'm trying to explain. So we want people to. Well, I want people to kind of look at this and be inspired. I want people to look at this and say, "Hey, I wanna do something like that." Or I want people to look at it and say, "Hey, I didn't even realize this was possible. This just expanded my expectations for how this world can be." I want that to happen. So let's go with that. And going back to Zaha, and actually just let me write the names for you in case you want to look them up on Google. You should. Oh, panes. Now let's just leave the panes for now. Let's just use the blocks for now. So let me just write their names. So there's Frank Gehry. I think that's how you spell it, Frank Gehry. And then there's Zaha Hadid. So those are the two architects that I say I disagree with. I mean, I guess the thing is, I look at their architecture and I'm not inspired. Like, I don't know. I look at the architecture and I say I don't really want to be there. I look at the buildings and I say I don't really want to be there. I've seen one Frank Gehry building up close. It's the Experience Music Project in Seattle. And when I walk around that thing, it's just really inhospitable. Like it's just not a nice place to walk around. Maybe it's better inside. Maybe it's amazing inside. I didn't go inside. But just kind of walking around outside it, like I really feel like the odd blob shapes, they don't engage people at the human scale. Like the 2 meters at the ground where where we're up against the wall, like that part of the building, it doesn't really engage you. I mean, when you kind of step back, or maybe you look down at it from the air and you see these blobs and it looks amazing, but nobody's in the air. Like, when's the last time you were in the air, You're always on the ground, walking on the street next to the building, and you're engaging with the 2 meters that's right next to the street. And that was not, I didn't, there was nothing there. Like, that was not a good experience. Like, when I talk about, like, in my, in my idea of good architecture, it's architecture that is nice for people to be in. It's not, a nice place. It's a place where people want to go. If you're kind of having lunch, you want to go to this place to have lunch, because you just like it there. That's the kind of thing that I think people need. A space that they just like. Not a weird shape. I mean, if they like weird shapes, then maybe okay. But I think it's not the weird shape. I think it's the engagement. Like when you, like a nice chair. I mean, I guess some people care about the color of the chair. Some people care about, having a really kind of an interesting shape for the chair. No, but most people, I think, just like a comfortable chair. The design merit of it is not important. Like the color of it is not all the. I don't know. Maybe that's me, but I feel like this is just a comfortable chair is good, and comfortable is not color. It's not really shape. It is kind of shape, but not really. It's just engineering. It's just more like ergonomics. A comfortable chair. Anyway, just stop rambling. Actually, do what I'm doing here. It's almost nighttime, in fact. So, I mean, basically my idea is green at the bottom for the lower petals, and then red for the upper petals. But that seems kind of dumb, it's just 2 colors, it's not very intelligent. But let me just do a little something. Let's put some glass down. Let me just kind of stack up a little bit. We're gonna get rid of this later on, and let me just put down a whole bunch of green glass and just see what this looks like at scale and in the mesa biome. Like, it doesn't really matter what shape it is, I just want to see what the colors look like at scale. Now the problem I think with the stained glass is that it's too transparent. Look at that. Like when you're down here you kind of see it. Let me just, like the normal glass, it's got this really kind of texture to it. Like it's got this kind of white lines to it. You can see that from a distance. This, it's very subtle, maybe too subtle. Don't really know what we might do about that. Let me just like when you're down here, you can barely see it. You can barely see it. So we might have to do an outline and fill thing. We might fill it with color and then outline it with something so that the outlines are clearer. So nighttime is okay because we want to see it at night. You see how clear that glass is because of the white. Basically the white is not transparent. Let me just look at this. Are the lines transparent? Not really. We can barely see it, right? I don't know. I feel like hold on. Let me just get closer to it. Let me just get closer to it. Yeah. So see, the outline is transparent as well, so you can actually just see through it. Maybe that's a mistake. Maybe they shouldn't do that. Because if we're looking at the normal glass, the outlines and the pixels here, these aren't transparent. You can't see the cloud behind them. Whereas with the glass, you can see the cloud behind them. Look at that. Look at that pixel there. And like, look at these pixels here. You can see the clouds behind. I think the stained glass is actually way too transparent. It's not very good. So that might be a problem we have to deal with. And if we look down at it, again, it's I mean, it's there. We can see it, but it's very faint. It's very, very faint. Let me just quickly try putting glass around it. So I guess, if you can't see the shape, one way to resolve that is to, you know, outline the shape and then fill the color inside the outline, so then, you know, you can see the shape now. So now there, oh look, you can see the glass behind the stained glass. That's interesting. So now we can see very clearly there's a glass box, and there's a little bit of green inside. I don't know if that's good or not. That's not. I don't think that's good actually. What on earth can we do about that? What can we do? Let's green wool. So the wool is not transparent at all. But let me just see what happens if I outline with green wool. Let's see what the effect of that is. What I really think is that they should just make the outline solid. Except maybe it doesn't really work, because the way it works is the clear glass, there's nothing actually in the rest of the texture. So that's 100%. So the whole thing is fully opaque, but they're just missing pixels there. Whereas here, the inside is filled with green. So there's multiple levels of transparency, but maybe they can still make it not transparent. Like make the outline completely not transparent. Maybe that's better. What's it gonna do? Oh, green wool. There we go. Don't do that. Let's just put the green wool around there. See how that looks. Like before with the clear glass outline, it seemed like the clear glass outline really dominated the appearance there, and you only kind of really focused on the green was too faint against the clear glass outline. See, that kind of makes sense. That kind of makes sense, but I still don't think that's very it's not an elegant solution, maybe. Or is it? Maybe it is. You know, maybe it is an elegant solution. Because for the petals, I was thinking I'll have like sandstone walkways inside the glass. But the sandstone is something else. Do I want sandstone around everything? I probably don't, do I? Do I want wool? Really? Wool? Maybe clay. Where's our green clay? Maybe clay would be appropriate. Although I don't really have green clay. I don't even have very much red clay, and red clay is like the most common thing in the mesa. Or, you know, whatever that color is. Is that red? Okay, I got red clay. That's what I'm trying to say. Don't have any other colors. Let's see what the green clay looks like. And do I really want green clay in my glass tower? I'm not sure about that. Yeah, I mean yeah, okay, so now there's like an outline around the green glass. I don't know. I don't know, and I mean, when it's a curve, and when it's a complex curve, it's not as easy as this, because the thickness of the line on a curve, like when there's an angle there, then you kind of have two blocks approximating an angle, and so the thickness of it will be inconsistent around the curve, is what I'm trying to say. Although we can try to make it as consistent as possible. I don't. Maybe you just need a. Okay, so I'm not sure about the transparency of the glass, whether that's a good idea or not. I can just forget about the colored glass and go clear glass the whole way, but I feel like that's a cop-out. It's really just kind of avoiding the problem instead of solving it. So maybe let's give the colored glass another try. Let's just reconsider the clear. Let's just glass and have a bigger piece of it, because the petals are quite big. And what happens when you have like multiple thickness? Can you see that? You can't really even see that. You see a little bit of it, And remember that when you have curves, you're gonna have that. They're not gonna be flat. There's gonna be like staircasing. So maybe it'll be okay. Maybe that would provide enough density, because as you staircase up, let me just kind of do that quickly. When you staircase up, then you create more kind of overlapping layers, because you're looking through it onto, you know, other surfaces like that. Kind of. Can you tell? You can't really tell what's going on there, can you? It's kind of like stuff behind other stuff. But you see that? Maybe that's enough. Like, knowing that it's going to be curves, so it's not going to be as transparent as this. It's going to be like that. And it's also going to outline the shape for us. Maybe that's enough. And is it less transparent in the day because it's, you know, maybe it's because the green is kind of dark and therefore it looks, you know, it's less visible at nighttime, maybe? I don't know. That might be the case. Alright, so there's this green. I still feel like it's too transparent. Let me just put red on top. See, again, the red is just too transparent. So the idea is green lower petals, red upper petals. Red against the desert. And this thing will be massive. I'm just worried that, you know, it's gonna disappear. Like, it's gonna be so faint that it will disappear into the background and you won't even see the thing. But at the same time, you do see it, you know? You can really see the green against the blue there. It'll be this kind of really faint, ghostly thing in the distance. Oops, I kind of fell down. It's gonna be this ghostly thing in the distance. Well, I mean, you see it. You know, the question is, do you see enough